Hello everybody. In this video we're gonna be focusing on financial math. Here I wrote down all the concepts that you need to know, all the concepts that needs to be covered. Firstly, let's find out what is it that we're going to be talking about in this topic or chapter. Here we have finance and growth. So we know immediately we're talking about finance. That means that that includes or involves money. And when we're talking about growth, that is about growing, ukukhula, bananga bikhula kanganani and all that. Yes, today's video is going to be both or many languages. Okay, now here we're gonna be talking about the simple and compound interest, the compounding periods, the growth, which is appreciation in brackets, and also decay, which is depreciation in brackets. Then we're gonna be talking about the timeline, the nominal and effective interest rates. That is all grade 11. That is all grade 11 work. Then about the grade 12 work, we're gonna cover annuities, meaning the future value and the present value, which means loans and all of those kind of examples we're gonna be doing. We're going to be talking about the sinking fund. We're going to talking about the comparison of best loan and investment options. So now, if I were to explain some of these concepts, no, let me not explain these concepts, but let us now clean up everything, then go straight to the simple and compound interest. Thank you very much. So here we're gonna be calculating the value of P, the value of A, and also the value of I. The value of P, the value of A, the value of I, and might be asked to also calculate the value of N and the value of N, which we're going to define all those. So the simple interest. So what is the simple interest? So according to the definition, this is whereby the interest is calculated. Maybe you're not going to see my writing clearly. So this, let's use this. This is whereby the interest is calculated on the total amount invested or borrowed and is not added on the principal amount. So in this case, the interest is calculated on the total amount invested or borrowed, and also here the interest does not generate another interest. So the simple interest is given by the formula A equals to P of 1 plus I times N, where okay, let's write it here, where now I will need where A is the future amount, where A is the future future amount or accumulative accumulated amount or the final amount, where P, this P now, where P is the principal amount or the initial amount or the starting amount or the present amount, where I is the interest rate in decimals, where I is the interest rate written in decimals. So I divide by 100. So this is how you convert your I to decimals. Then lastly we have N. So N is the total, is the period. Let's just say N is the period that is usually given or asked in years. Now let's create a room and go to something else. This is nothing but the introduction and also the summary. Now let's move to the compound. Let's move to the compound interest. So now let's talk about the compound interest. So what is it about the compound interest? What you need to know about the compound interest is that it allows the interest to be earned on the interest, meaning on this case, unlike the simple interest whereby the interest cannot generate another interest, in this case the interest can generate another interest. So how or where is this compound interest advantageous? So this type of an interest is advantageous in investments such as loan. This type of interest is advantageous. I'm sorry about that. This type of interest is advantageous or beneficial in investments, not for taking loans. It's advantageous for for doing investments, not for taking loans. Then mathematically it is given by this formula, which is A equals to B into 1 plus I all raised to n. Then now in grade 12, look here and note that in grade 12, to find the value of n, which n? This n. To find the value of this n, you need to be familiar with what we call the logarithms, because you're going to be using them, which are in short given as logs. You're going to be using logs to find this, because you know the best way to find an unknown exponent is to use logs. But then we're gonna do that in no time. Now let's fill in our table for compounding period. If you can follow this table here, trust me, you will never ever go wrong. So now, when substituting your I value in your formula, you need to be careful of the compounding periods. So for example, here we have annually, which means a year, meaning 1 year. So for annually, you must have I divided by 1 in this case, and n multiplied by 1. On the second row is written semi-annual or half yearly, meaning half a year. Every half of a year, then the interest is earned. So meaning the interest is earned twice, meaning we divide our interest twice. So our I will be I divided by 2 halves of the year. Then our n will be n multiplied by 2 halves of the year. Remember, n is the number of period. Yes, n is our period, so interest is earned in the period of 2 halves. So quarterly, for quarterly we have I divided by how many quarters in a year we have. Because you guys are doing high school, we have term 1, term 2, term 3, term 4, meaning quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, and quarter 4. Therefore we have 4 quarters in a year, so we're going to have n multiplied by 4. Monthly, how many months do we have in a year? We have 12 months. How many years do we have in a year? We have 12 months. Yes, that's what I was trying to say. How many months do we have in a single year? Then now let's go to weekly. Now. How many weeks do we have in a year? How many weeks do we have in a year? Then I tell you that we have 52 weeks in a year. So we're going to have I divided by 52 and n. Then this side, let me change this marker. Here we're going to have n multiplied by 12. Then now, how many days? How many days do we have in a year? We have 365 days. So we're gonna have I divided by 365 days and n multiplied by 365 days. Then these are your compounding periods. Then about this number of weeks, with my students that I tutor, siyasane argument ende kakhulu. Then I will show you all why I claim that we have 52 weeks in a year. I will show you that just right now. Let me quickly create a room first.